All right. I guess that was our intro. Did that get kind of abbreviated there, John? We all good? We running? Up and running?
Yeah, that was full intro. Yeah, that was the full thing.
Can you
Yep.
guys hear me? All right. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hear you
I'm getting
now.
delays here, but
You're a little bit
anyway,
delayed.
everybody, welcome to Falls Count Anywhere. We're coming out of the gate stumbling already. At least I am, because I don't know. I got some kind of delay on my screen. But I am Charlie Turner, along here with Chris DiCarlo and John Restino here on the Falls Count Anywhere podcast here on November 19th of 2022. Guys, we have a very special guest with us, our first Hall of Fame guest to be joining us on the show. Chris, I want you to give this gentleman the correct intro. Go ahead and take it away.
Of course, as we say, we have a guest here that is, we like to say, wrestling royalty. Indeed. He is a Cauliflower Alley honoree, 1995, a WWE Hall of Famer, 1996, but a former Canadian International Champion, a former Northeast Champion, a former World Wrestling Council Champion. He also is a very famous trainer throughout the
And now
industry.
I'm gonna let you in. I'm gonna put in, and also champion of the super medics in the Caribbean from Puerto Rico for Carlos Colon.
Ah, very good.
The WWC, right?
Myself and Jose Estrada, and we were there champion for a year and a half. We never lost the belt. We had all the belts. We have 4 sets of belts.
Oh man, and that's why he's a Hall of Famer right there.
That was
ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Johnny
1983, 1984.
Wow.
Yes,
Yep.
Mr. Johnny Rodz, welcome aboard. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
It's a pleasure. You guys are okay. You sound okay, and you're going to be okay for a long time.
Hey, we appreciate that.
Thank
We
you.
hope so. You know, we're trying to get good at this. I don't know if we are or not, but we're trying.
No, you're doing a great job. But believe me, I just did one with Jerry Briscoe and Broshaw, and it was 92 minutes, and we didn't even do not even 20% of what we're supposed to talk about, because we go way back, you know.
Well,
Right.
I'll tell you, Johnny. We're definitely, you know, thrilled to have you on the show, sir. You know, some of the things I just want to ask you about. Your career goes back to also the WWF, including the WWF, and then of course you were inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then your life as a trainer as well. Some of the names that you've trained over the years: the Dudley
Yep,
Boys,
what
Taz, Tommy Dreamer.
quite a few guys, Taz, Dreamer, the Dudleys. You go on and on and on. Big Cass, who was one of the not too long ago, and I got more coming. I got plenty more. I got guys from Arkansas, Minnesota, California,
Wow.
Virginia. They come from all over to come down to Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, which is the world famous Gleason's Gym here in Dumbo in Brooklyn. And I've been there for 37 years.
Wow.
And there's been not 1,000, a couple of thousands that have gone through there, whether they made it or not, or there's got to be 1,000 doing independent all over, everywhere. They've been everywhere. I had people from Italy, from India, from England, from all over coming down and train, whether they train for a month or 2 months or 6 months, whatever they wanted. And then I keep getting calls from all over the place. It's just because of myself being around so long, and they have so many wrestling schools, but then I have a website, and then you mentioned wrestling school or something with pro wrestling school. I kind of pop out, and these people search, and they can't get the right answer or the right time for training. It's nobody's going to be a professional wrestler in 6 months. Like these wrestling schools have. I don't have nothing against them, but they 6 months or 8 months or a year, just because you got to pay rent and you can't give the members any more time. I have what you call a lifetime membership at Gleason's Gym, only because of my name in the world famous Gleason's Gym. Bruce Silverglaze, who's the owner, they sponsor me for 37 years now without paying any rent.
Wow.
Wow, that's great.
So what I did is I invented what you call a lifetime membership. They gave me a lifetime rent free, so I give the members, when they come in, if they want to join in, lifetime membership with one payment, lifetime membership, they pay for the gym, and they could go and back and forth as much as they want, and they could go away for a year and come back. They're still a member as long as they behave, and I don't have to kick ass.
Now, Johnny, we're gonna send Chris over to your training school there. If you could maybe throw him around a little bit, maybe throw him in a
Chris,
couple holes
you,
there.
you mean the guy with the hat in the corner?
No, the other gentleman there with the glasses
No.
there.
John.
We're gonna send him
Yeah,
over.
not me. No, him.
I'm afraid of the guy in the hat with the corner. You know,
No.
he looks pretty tough over there. You know?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm the worst. I'm the weakest.
He's quiet, so I'm afraid of quiet guys.
You know.
Well,
Go ahead.
he's our friend and producer of this show, but he goes back a long time, as do I, since 1980. He, a fan of Maple Leaf Wrestling here since we're near Canada and just all over. But I'd like to ask you, Mr. Rodz, was there a difference? How was Vince Sr. compared to Vince Jr.?
Vince Jr. is what you call a gentleman, a scholar. You know what I'm talking about? He's a nice Irishman. I met him in 1963 in the old Madison Square Garden, where I wrestled that night as a substitute for the first time after my fourth match, my first starting match in the game. And the Golden Boy Arnold Collins, the one that gave me the first shot to wrestle here in New York, and I was there for a substitute for that night. That's the night that Bruno Sammartino took the belt away from Buddy Roger.
Oh wow!
And that's in 1963 in the old Madison Square Garden. We're not talking about the one on 34th Street here in New York City. And I'm talking about the one on 58th Street in 8th Avenue, I think it was. Yes. And then, that's that. I was very young, and it's quite a while. And I wrestle all over from where you guys at, from Cleveland down this way, all the way to Virginia, all the way to Prescott, Maine, right across Pennsylvania, everywhere, every town, every state that I wrestled for all these years. I think I am one of the longest professional wrestlers in the sense of being with WWE or W. I'm going to tell you how many names the company had. I've been with them for so many years. I could say I'm still part of this game because my name, we're going to learn, you guys are going to learn how do I get my name sometime between now and later. I've been here. Nobody's been longer than me in the sense of pro wrestlers that come in and out, regardless how old they are. I've been here the longest, and I don't care. I chose to stay here. I travel quite a bit around, but I wasn't not one of those wrestlers that travel from one state to another after a couple of years, so they could get a main event, so they could get over somehow. I chose that it was smart for me to be married, have a couple of kids, and you can only travel so much. Otherwise, you move your family around. It's not a healthy thing for the pro wrestler, and I learned that very early in my life, knowing the old timers,
Absolutely. Now, and then Vince McMahon Jr. in comparison, how was he to deal
Well,
with?
I'm going to tell you. Vince McMahon Sr. was a gentleman scholar. He was a nice, truthful promoter, first class. He wasn't a sloppy promoter. He was a very, he tell you he's going to do something, he'll do it. As long as you respect him, he'll respect you 100% like a gentleman. I had never had problems with him. I was never, like the tag team champion or world champion or any kind of champion. I had I'd wrestle every champion, whoever was going to be champion. I put it this way. Vince McMahon Sr. and I got so close that there was time. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you real quick. And one time, you guys remember Spiros Arion, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Spiros Arion came in nice and fresh here from Europe, and big, guy is 6'4", almost 300 pounds, looked like a real Greek god. Vince loved him because he was a nice looking guy. Want to make him a big baby face. But one time in the beginning, this is a long time ago, I was sitting in the office when he was making up the bookings, and he kept twirling in the pencil and messing around with quarters in his hand and scratching his head. And I'm sitting in the big office because in those days you could go up to the office while he's making all kinds of bookings. And I'm looking at him. Yeah, I'm very young, but I'm very wise to see people having problems thinking. And then I just spoke up and say, "What's the matter, Vince? You can't make up your mind where you're going to put me?" He goes, "No, I can't make up my mind what I'm going to do with Spiros Ariam because I want to." He wants to make him a superstar babyface, but then I said, "Well, I know what's the problem. He's not drawing what he wants to draw as a babyface because, first of all, he was too damn big. He was too damn baby looking." That the people so big that the people don't feel sorry for him. He's going to wrestle the villain, you know. I said to him, you know why he doesn't get over? Because he's too big, too good looking, and the sense of being like that, the people don't feel sorry for him. I think he's better as a heel. He goes, you think so? I say, sure. Put him with a nice baby face that the people love. Tag team. Let him how you say double cross in one of the matches and put him on TV. He'll be the biggest heel ever. He sold the Garden 4 times after that.
Wow. That's not easy to do.
That was my kind of thinking. And I'm not a promoter, but if I was, that's the way I would think. But then saying in the same line that I'm talking, I say that because of myself, because of the way I grew up and the way here in New York, I was just I don't come from an elite, college where guys wrestle all the way to the end. They become champions or football players or basketball players or rugby or all that baloney behind them. And they come in with some kind of background. I was born in the hills of Puerto Rico, way up in the mountains, and raised here in Little Italy in New York and the east side of New York, near Chinatown since I was a kid, and never went to school. Never went to school in Puerto Rico because I got here 11 and a half, and by the time they put me in school, I was 12 years old, and I wound up in the 12th grade, looking at the blackboard like a dummy. How can you learn anything in that fast? If you're 12 years old and you've never been to school, you don't even know the alphabets. Right. So, you grow up in the hills. You come down to this jungle, concrete jungle, like I call it. You're a tough hillbilly. You don't let nobody mess with you. Everything is backwards, no matter of speaking, in the sense, So you get that. That's all is me right now. You have a lot of white experience, better than if you spend $200,000 in an elite college. You understand? Without knowing how to spell, without knowing mathematics or anything like that. But life experience sometimes is even better.
Absolutely.
It's full of hard knocks, right, sir?
Exactly. And so, like going back to Vince McMahon and I had a good relation in the sense that we took a liking to each other, and he, as a promoter, he needed help a lot because since that time with Spiros Arian, he must have think, Jesus, this guy's got a brain for this game about getting people over. So Tom and Dick and Harry comes in, Johnny, you think maybe you could do me a favor and we got to see if I could get this guy over, blah, 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 blah. So I became like what you call it, the repair machine. In a matter of speaking, you know what I mean? Absolutely. Today you could say whatever you want to say in this kind of business because they exploited so much that it was a very hiding business of pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is one of the biggest thing and one of the oldest thing entertainment for a crowd since 1800 on. It all started like that from every country from you can mention. I mean from England, from Greece, from India, from Japan, it was always brought up as a rumble, and this thing just kept going into the time they went into the circus, and they had a couple of guys there uh, doing their thing for hours, and it all started with promotion. Promoters became smart, and they decided to make a good show out of it. And this is what it is. It's one of the most entertaining thing that you can watch if you really want to think of it. And it's been around so many years. So I have the experience of all that in the sense of meeting Tom and Dick and Harry that came into New York to do this for one of the biggest promoters in the business.
And now, Johnny, when you were doing training, did you know, were there certain wrestlers that you trained? Did you know right away from training them that, okay, this guy's going to be a star, or
Yeah,
did
yeah,
it take some time?
I have. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I have the experience of. It doesn't matter what size or what it is. It's just me knowing so much knowledge of the psychology of the game that the characters come in and I don't care what they call me. They come in and the guy is look. Let's go back to a guy say 16 years old, 18 years old, 21 years old. I just had a kid that called up from I don't know Texas or something. He's half Mexican, half white, whatever. And then he says he wants to come to New York and never been to New York because he searched me and he thinks that I'll be the one that he can make it in the business. He thinks he could become one of the biggest. And I asked him, do you finish school? Yes. Did you save money? Yeah, I have $5,000. Yeah. Did you know where we at? We're in Brooklyn, New York. I said, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and then you don't have families here? No. So I said, well, wait a minute. You said since you were 4 years old, you love pro wrestling. You want to be a pro wrestler. You want to be one of the best. And I say, first of all, how are you going to get to New York with $5,000? You need to rent a place. You need to get yourself a job. You got to pay for the entrance of being in the club. You got to pay gym dues. How are you going to do that to become a pro wrestler? I says, that's what you got to worry about first. And you're a long way from home. I says, I want to advise you that you really, really have to study. You could come here anytime you want, but I'm not here to be the type of wrestling school that tell you this is what it costs you every month, and you're here for 6 months, and la 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 la. Yeah. Then I worry whether you got money. They're worrying that they're gonna get paid every month or every week or whatever. I don't knock them. I don't knock the wrestling schools. They can do whatever they want, but it's impossible for you to be a professional wrestler in a matter of 6, 8 months or even a year, because there's so much psychology in it, and so much knowledge of whatever, even learning how to protect yourself from taking bumps in every which way, and then knowing the holds the right way, and the whole performance of it, and the whole charisma of it. There's so much of it that you're better than a movie star. All these stunts, man, and all the movie stars. I'll tell you what, right now, before I forget, the movie that's coming out, The Claw.
Okay.
You heard of it?
I think so. I think I know what you're talking about.
Fritz Bonaric, the father. Fritz Bonaric and the family.
Zac
the 5
Efron,
sons and the 4 sons die, and only Kevin Bonaric is alive.
Yeah,
so
Zac Efron
what's happening here now? They made a film. They're making a whole big movie about Fritz Bonaric, the father, and the whole drama about the sons all dying, and there's only one son alive. Well, guess who? Guess who just trained for 2 months? I trained McConnelly Holtz. You guys Google McConnelly Holtz. That's a movie star. If you Google McConnelly Holtz, he's the guy that's portraying the part of the father as Fritz Bonaric with the claw. Cool. So I just finished with him a couple of weeks back, and he's out there in New Orleans now filming this movie, and it's all over. It's all Fran Efron is doing Kevin Bonaric right now.
He got in good shape for that.
Kevin Bonaric, I wrestled him in the garden going back about 48 years ago when he was a young guy.
Wow.
1980, sir. Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
you're 100%. Yeah, you got it. So you
Johnny,
see, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to get your thoughts on because some of the names I mentioned that you trained were big parts of ECW, Tommy Dreamer and the Dudleys. What were your thoughts of ECW back in the 90s?
Well, no, the ECW goes back with Paul Heyman. When
Yeah.
Paul Heyman was a photographer and he was all over the place bugging the wrestlers to take photos. You guys know all that. And then he became a nag.
Yeah.
Because he comes around and comes around and comes around, and after a while he's a coffee getter. He's this and he's that. That's the way people start, and they become millionaires sometime. What happens with him is that he was all over the place, and until he grew up enough that he wasn't a kid anymore, buzzing around. He was trying to do this, and he was trying to do that. And like I said, he was a coffee getter. But here's what happened: he would drive somebody's car to be with them from New York to Buffalo, from New York to Rochester. Which one time I remember Mr. Fuji having the band with the Tanaka and myself and Arnold Skolin. And who was the driver for 200 miles? It'll be Paul Heyman, because Mr. Fuji said, "You come with us, you take picture, blah 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 blah," and then
dues, right?
So he will do anything to be in the wrestling business. I remember Paul Heyman that far back, and then it didn't matter to me because this is the way everybody gets involved. But the years pass, and I have all these guys training. Now he winds up trying to promote. And I guess his father must as far as I know, his father gave him like $75,000 for him to promote. And he went and got a bingo hall and you guys know the story. And then in Pennsylvania, he got that place in Pennsylvania, which was a rat halls with the big building with the people playing bingo every weekend. And then he got in there cheap and he started doing all these rumble and dumble stuff. And then that's how he got to do all these Mickey Mouse interviews at night in a basement or his house or something like that. But to go back even before that, once he started that, he came to me and he says, "Why don't you come and be my booker or let's get together," because I had quite a few guys. I mean, I had Bill DeMont and I had the Damien Demento and I had the Twin Towers, and I had 25 gorillas with me in those days, because in those days I never trained guys that weighed less than 200 pounds because it was a waste for me to tell the guy, "You got to pay this," and then I know he's not going to be making any appearance that where they think that they're going to use them, they're looking for time. So I almost, it was very, very close. I would say 80-90% that I was thinking maybe I should go with this guy and help him do this shit. But what happened was that I was working. I got myself involved with the Males Deliverance Union in the newspaper. So I wound up getting in the union, and I had my own route, and I wasn't not going to trade that for nothing because that's part of your life. I spent 11 years in the Males Deliverance Union here in New York with New York Post. So I said to myself, you know what? I don't mind training people 2 days a week, Monday and Tuesday from 2 to 8. And I told him, "You want guys? You can have all the guys you want." So Kevin Sullivan came around at that time to stop messing around with him and helping him, get started in the sense of booking guys and putting himself in there, which is our name and stuff like that. So he got himself a little push. Before you know, the guys that I have, starting with Taz and Tommy Dreamer and all those guys, they were all practically 90% of the guys that he had in there. They were all from my club.
And what did you think of that style of wrestling with the extreme tables and barbed wire and?
No, I don't think nothing. They started normal, but after a while, the reason why, because it was like I said, a big building. The building where they had, it was a bingo hall, and it was in Pennsylvania. The laws with the commissioners a little different, so he was able to sneak in there and get away with the garbage cans and stuff like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
jumping up and down. And after a while, you get all the riffraffs that want to, holy shit, you know, yell and
Right.
bang
Yeah.
around and bang all over the place and curse and drink beer and
It
throw
was
things.
innovative. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that became kind of an entertainment for a good crowd. I would say from 1,000 to 2,000 people. Before you know, he was doing little Mickey Mouse TV on at 1 o'clock in the morning and interviews and stuff like that. It got to as far as making pay per view here and there, and you know, it started to, you know, the shit smells. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So after a while, everybody's gonna say, well, "Shit, I smell shit." But whether it smell shit or smell good stuff, you smell shit. That means there's shit around. So what happened was there became no shit no more. It became where it's making a name for the crowd that wants to go to that kind of a wrestling. But here's what happened: if you hitting people in the head with those bulbs, the long bulbs, you know, the lights, or you're hitting them with garbage can, or you're hitting them with chairs, and you're hitting them with this, and then you get some of the young kids like from 5 years to 10 years to 12 years watching this without the parents knowing, and they decide to hit the brother or the sister in the head with a bulb, I don't know, garbage can, because the kids are kids,
Right.
and
Yeah.
something gets into the media, and the state or the government decides to stop this. It gives the business a wrong name. And then it gives the pro wrestling a wrong name. So that means if it gives it a wrong name, not only for ECW, but for WWE and for everybody else. So a company like Vince McMahon Jr. decided, you know what, this guy, let's make him an offer that he can't refuse. So what they did, he made him an offer he can't refuse, and you know, by the time that he make him an offer he can't refuse, he was already a tiger. He knew what the heck was going on. He knows how to make a dollar. He knows how to steal a dollar. So he figured, okay, now Vince is offering me the genuine dollar, the genuine power. So what he did, he took the best guys that he had. That was, you know, all the guys running, they were all my guys. You know, the guys that went in there with him. They're all Taz and Tommy Dreamer and the Dudleys and, you know, all the good guys, all the guys that I had. So that's how Vince decided, if I could buy him out and then put him in as an ECW program, nice and clean, Mickey Mouse style, you know, where they makes it look like it's ECW, but in a good fashion. And then what do? After a while, he takes it out, and that's the end of ECW.
Right.
So you see, that's the same offer that the mafia will do with a guy that says, let's bring him over here and keep him close, you know.
Bought him out, yeah, absolutely. And then the same thing with WCW, of course, as well.
Remember, I know what I'm talking about. I was born downtown, not born. I was raised downtown,
right?
Mostly down by near Chinatown, Little Italy. When I came from the island, my aunt was married to one of those guys from down there who had all the stores, all the buildings, and all that. He had a lot of money. That's how we got into New York with my whole family, 5 of us, you know. So I go back, when I speak like that, I go back to the sense of everything is like that. So that's how ECW, and still ECW today. People, it was a stuck name. The guy, you got to give Heyman. How do you say, credit for being a producer of something that it was different than everything else. That no matter how big WWE or Tommy, Dick, and Harry is, they still, people talk about ECW in the sense of ECW fans.
Yeah,
and it's going to leave. It's always going to remember ECW. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is what it is, and there is no other unpredictable Johnny Rodz. There's only one unpredictable on TV.
Yeah,
and
you know,
anybody, no matter how good a big names they can mention for years, you never heard somebody say he's an unpredictable Joe, because as soon as they say that, somebody's going to say, There was another guy with the name Unpredictable something. Oh yeah, Johnny Rodz. Well, you see, that's what happened with me. Vince McMahon Jr. on TV, it would say, "Uh-oh, here comes the unpredictable." I wonder what he's so unpredictable. We never know what he's going to do. Well, he starts saying it. After a while, here is the unpredictable Johnny Rodz, unpredictable one. So, bingo. At one time, they were going to use Captain Jackson, ECW. They start saying the unpredictable Captain Jack. The people, the fans, those rowdy guys, start saying, "Hey, that's Johnny Rod's name." So now they couldn't use it anymore. See,
Right.
And the guy became a famous guy, but he still cannot use unpredictable Cactus Jack. And I know Cactus Jack right from the beginning. I know all about him, and I know. I mean, I even had something to do with him where he came to me way back when I was training Taz and those guys. And he walked into the gym and he says, "Johnny, my name is Captain Dop. I wanna ask you a favor. Maybe I could go in the ring with one of you guys because I got an offer to go to Japan, and I want to know from a guy like yourself if I'm ready enough." And I said, "Sure, why not?" I gave him a guy 6'4.5" or 6'5", 280 pounds, one of the Twin Towers, Tony Storrs, and I said, "Tony, go in the ring a few minutes with this guy and bounce him around all over the place because he wants to know if I could say yes, he's ready." Well, sure, I'm not going to tell the guy no. I'm doing him a favor. He went in the ring for 5-10 minutes, and Tony was a crowbar, and he threw him all over the place. And when he got out, he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Everything is good. Just don't kick with your left foot because you'll never make it." Just joking with him. I wasn't really give a shit how you kick with left or right. But because he was a kind of a beginner, he took offense to that. He never forgot it. I think he's still mad at me.
Okay.
Meantime, he become a legend, but I'm still here listening to it. He became a legend. He caught up to me. He better be careful that I don't last longer than him.
I was gonna say, any thoughts of coming out of retirement, getting in the ring one more time, like Ric Flair did?
No, I'm in the ring practically 4 days a week.
Oh wow, okay, so still.
I do the club Monday, Tuesday, no Wednesday, Thursday, no Friday, Saturday, no Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm in the gym from anywhere from 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. Sometime there to 11 o'clock at night because these kids get out of work or whatever they do, and they gotta train, and only time they can train is in the evening. Wow. And I got my own office there. I got a $14,000 ring that's been sitting there for years, and it's a new place. It's the first floor. It's in one of the biggest area in Dumbo, Brooklyn, New York, by the Brooklyn Bridge, because that's Dumbo. That's one of the biggest tourist area in New York now.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're glad to be in the first floor, right smacking by the river there, where everybody. The rent is $22,000 and change a month.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Well, yeah, because that's Dumbo, Brooklyn. I told you that area is 200 years old area, and every Tom and Dick and Harry that comes for vacation is hanging around. That's the biggest, most crowded area you ever saw in New York now.
And that's where Peter Luger's is, right?
Yeah. And it only started a year ago. Wait till they finish fixing all that area with all those condos and all that stuff that they building. They ripped everything apart, and it became it's a monster. People were all over the place.
Wow. That's fantastic because Brooklyn's come a long way.
Well, yeah, Brooklyn come a long way, but that area there is called Dumbo, Brooklyn. It's you Google it and you'll see. Just Google everything, you'll find out.
Absolutely.
Google Gleason Jim, Google me. We're all. Like I said, I've been there for 37 years. When there was nothing there was nothing. It was all factories, and this is the area with all the deliveries from the railroad, the old 200 years ago area, and then all copper stone on the floor, all those heavy bricks, and they ripped them off and they put them back again. We've been suffering now for 5 years. because of all the construction that's going on. New sewers, new everything.
Wow.
Oh
Mr.
yeah.
Rodz,
Yes.
Mr. Rodz, I'd like to ask you your opinion also on two of the famous ring announcers that we've seen over the years introducing you, and the one Joe McCune and
My name is Joe McGill. And ladies and gentlemen, here he is from Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, unpredictable Johnny Rodz. And my name is Joe McHugh. He is so great. That was one of my favorite guy in Philadelphia, guy. He's so great then, he's so great now. I hope he's in heaven. What a nice man, a real sweetheart of a person. The best. People loved him.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And what about the Fink, Howard Finkel in Madison Square Garden?
Howard Finkel's AAA. He's a AAA. He was one of the nicest person you ever can meet. He was a gentleman scholar all the way. AAA. He's a sweetheart. He was a sweetheart. I miss him. Very nice man. Very nice.
Best announcer of all time, right, guys? As far as we're concerned, I mean, I can speak for me. I don't know if but I think he's the best announcer ever, ring announcer.
You got that 100%. That's like Jimmy, the other announcer from the boxing, Jimmy Lennon.
Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Yes, the father. I got the pleasure to have the father announce me as Jabba Rook, and then I have Red Shoe Dugan was the referee in those days.
Wow.
Yeah, Red Shoe Dugan.
Yeah, speaking of which, we're going to see a clip here after the interview of you, like I said, off camera, of Java Rook, sir. And you had Rowdy Piper doing a lot of the talking for you.
Well, Jabba Rook, if you want to hear about Jabba Rook, which I told you in the beginning, it goes back quite a few years ago, way back. Remember the Mongols, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Peppo and Guido Mongo, right?
Yes.
Well, before Peppo and Guido Mongo, 5 years before them, I was coming from Pittsburgh. No, I was coming from Maryland, I think. Somewhere it was not Washington. It was like somewhere Maryland or Baltimore. It was close by. It was a bad crowd and everything else. And I'm sitting in the back with Tony. Tony is Guido Mongo. And we're sitting in the back. He weighs about 240 pounds. He's just maybe a little taller than me, my 5'11", 5'12", but we were both the same size, like. And and he's pissed off because we went to this place and it was so bad. All we got was $35, and we got to give the guy some money for who was the driver, and it's four of us. And we're sitting in the back, and he's so pissed off because, what the fuck? I came out there $25 and shit. And one day I'm you know what? I'm gonna go make some money and buy Bruno Sammartino's territory, which was Pittsburgh TV and stuff. When Bruno had that promotion there, and I'm sitting on the left side of him, on the right side of him, and on the back, and I said, Tony, no, when you become a promoter and you're a big shot here in Pittsburgh, don't forget me, give me some work, book me, make me a big name,
Right.
And he goes, yeah, Johnny, I promise you I will. And I said, okay, I'm going to hold you to it. Now, this gentleman left, and he went back to Canada. We didn't hear from him for a good 4 or 5 years. And I was here for him. All of a sudden, here comes these two guys, or they look like Mongols with those big fur things, big boots for furs. He weighed about 265, 270. I don't know how he got so heavy. Then Peppo, how big he is, right? And Joe was a monster. And then Vince McMahon fell in love with these guys, and they made nothing but money. And every house that they were main event, we made a good payday. Now he bought the territory from Bruno for $65,000 at that time. Now he becomes a promoter. Now I said, hey, Guido, remember what I told you when you become a promoter, you were going to book me and give me some work? He says, yeah, but I don't want to use you as Johnny Rodz. I want you to come to TV with something, some kind of gimmick. We went to Pittsburgh. We went to the TV. We went to a couple of shows, and he wanted to put me on. And he goes, Johnny, what are we going to do on TV? Let's figure out a gimmick. Maybe you could be an Arab or something. I said, yeah, we'll be an Arab, but first of all, I got no gimmick. I got nothing. And then I got my boots got JR on it. And I said, what the heck is it? Well, let's figure something out. So during the night, I start thinking. I took the sheet of the bed, on the room, and I had a scissor, and I cut it right across, and then I cut it across again in the middle, and I took the one piece square, I folded a triangle, I put it in my head, then I went over. There was a curtain that was like velveteen hanging on the window. I went and cut about 15 inches of it in the bottom. I folded across. I had needle and thread. I threw it there. I put it across my head, and then I started to make it like face, so something like that. And then I said, "Oh man, this is not bad. It looks good." And I had red pants. I had red shorts and stuff like that. And you know me with my striped pants, remember? So
Yep.
I I said, "Hey, I don't look bad. I got the mustache, I got the beard, and Van Dyke, and with all that crazy stuff." I look in the mirror. I said, "Hey, whoo." I'm okay. And then I said, "Wait a minute, I got a problem. I got JR in my boots. How the heck? I don't got no other boots. What the heck?" I start thinking, damn. But then I start thinking about a candy bar that was called Haba or Java or something like that. And I said to myself, damn, how do I get the initials for what kind of name can I do? So I start thinking I come down with Haba. But then I said Haba, Java. I said, what about Java? And then I said, what about the R? Java Ru? What RU? I said, yeah, but it's too short. I said, maybe Java Rook, WK. And I said, hey, Tony, what about Java Rook? He goes, good enough for me. That was the beginning of Java Rook. Now, that's the beginning of Java Rook, and I did Pittsburgh TV, and I wrestled the first 15-minute Broadway with Rumble with Batman and Pittsburgh. You guys remember Batman in Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Yeah, and then we did the Pedro Martinez TV in Cleveland with Jabba Rook. Yeah. So I was doing Pittsburgh, I was doing Jabba Rook, except New York. I didn't do Vince. See, Vince missed that. He should have put me in as
I
that.
Agree. Absolutely.
And make some kind of story and say he's not this, he's not that, because they never knew if I was Puerto Rican or not, because I go the name Jabaruk, so people didn't know what the heck I was. They thought maybe I was, whatever, something else.
Similar to Yokozuna. Yokozuna was a Samoan guy that played a Japanese guy. So I mean, kind of similar.
Hallelujah, right? Hallelujah. You know what I mean? That's the game. So that's the Jabaruk thing. Jabaruk in California. It was years later that Vince, Vince never used it, but years later, we're doing TV in Reading, Pennsylvania, and Vince McMahon was in the hotel at the Crystal Room in Pennsylvania, because that's where they hang out whenever they do TV, Philadelphia and up in Hamburg, all that crazy stuff. So Allentown. So what happened was Vince. Mike LaBelle from California, he was the promoter there with Gene LaBelle. Those are the LaBelle family, with the Olympic Auditorium.
Yes.
He wanted to get rid of the original Sheik. Remember the original Sheik, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He was in California for quite a while, but he drew like crazy. But here's what happened. 60% of the fans there be Mexicans, and he was beating the hell out of the Mexicans and the Babyface and Chavo and all these people and all that was going on for years. And he drew, but you know the style, right? You know the Sheik style.
Oh yeah.
His style is the Blizzard. You know what I mean, right?
Yep.
You guys understand?
Oh yeah.
Too much of that. If you eat steak every day, or you eat pork chop every day, or you have too many salads every day, after a while you look at it and you want to throw up. Well, here's what happened with the promotion. everything that he did, it was always the knife in the head and the blood. And every match, no matter what, it had to have blood. I mean, I never saw a match without blood with them. The same thing with Abdullah the Butcher. They all did that. Bruce Brody, all them guys, those are the original blood bleeders, okay? But after a while, the houses could be sold out for years, and then all of a sudden, the people get tired of watching the same match in the same style, and the sense, no matter what main event you have, with the blood. After a while, it becomes, like I said, yeah. So they wanted it, but they got to get him out and bring somebody else that don't do blood. So they called. Mike LaBelle called Vince and said, maybe we could get that guy, the Arab guy that you had over there, because he knew about it, but they didn't know if they could get it or not. So he said, ask Vince, maybe you could ask Johnny if he wants to come here and do Jabaruk. Okay. So one night when they were on TV, Vince called me and I said, Johnny, would you like to go over there and do the Battle Royale and do the gimmick, the Sheik, the Jabaruk? I said, no problem, as long as I get enough money. Okay, they offered it, and I went. They gave me the Battle Royale. You'll now become international champion of the 22-man Battle Royale, which is worldwide known. Well, I could have made good money in 1976. But what happened was, I told them, if I don't get my money every week, the price that I want, I'm going to give you a notice, and I'm going to leave, and I'm going to come back to New York.
Yeah.
All right. But then I went there, and then I met Roddy. Roddy was just there as a young guy. I mean, very young. I got pictures of Roddy. If you look at him, you say, I don't believe it. Mm-hmm. He was in Santa Monica. They use him up and down. He was Roddy Piper, but he wasn't a famous Roddy Piper. He was a young guy who was ready to go back to Canada because he didn't have a visa. Remember, he's Canadian. So they give him a visa for every year. They renew it every year. And he was getting tired of it, and he wanted to leave. I said, don't leave. We became buddies. I said, let me go to the office and see, maybe you can manage me. You know, use the flute and yell and scream, and I'll be hooting around because I can't talk Arab. So I convinced the office, but I convinced them twice, but they never gave it to us. But then one day they said, come to the office. We got an idea. And they say, Piper, go in there with Johnny, let him beat the shit out of you for 3 minutes. Jump outside, grab the mic, and tell him you rather switch than fight. That was the idea. The Winston cigarette poster with the black guy. Let's switch and fight. So me and Piper look at each other and said, "Wow, that's a great idea." Now we're going to put the promoters over because it's their idea. It was my freaking idea, but they want to steal it. I don't care as long as you make me money. And then Piper started doing the promos for me because he's a hell of a talker. That's why I wanted him. And with the flute, we stole the show. We even got the Mexicans shooting at us in Bakersfield and Lancaster, where those arenas, the 90% of Mexicans in there. One time that we had shot at, there was bullets hitting the woods on the bleach. Wow. Yes, and man, we run into the dressing room. I said, we're not doing this shit anymore. No. but you see, we got over. But the thing is, I had my family in New York. I had problems with them with the money because you don't make contracts, you make promises. And they did it in the beginning, but then I went to Frisco, wrestled Dory Funk Jr. for Sammy Main, and I made a good payday. They took care of me. Roy Shire, the promoter, and they're beautiful. But it didn't work for me according to my family in New York. You get rumbles and being away and having a family. So somehow I not an excuse to come home, but because they didn't take care of me the way I really wanted it. So I don't have to make the stupid decision. I made not a stupid decision. I said, I'm leaving. And I came back home. And before you know, I was back with New York with Vince again. Wow. That's the end. That was the end of Jabaruk. But I made it worldwide. Jabaruk from 1976 to now. They still know that I was Jabaruk.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Johnny Rodz, we are just so happy that you gave us some of your time this evening or this afternoon to join us and talk some wrestling with us. We know your time is sensitive, sir. I don't want to keep you any longer, but we appreciate you so
guys,
much.
But we got so much too.
If you guys got time, I'm okay. I'm not going nowhere. I'm home.
Well, hey guys, if you want to just stick with Mr. Rodz here, we could do that. Why don't we do a quick break here, though, if you don't mind, sir? We gotta check in with our sponsors, and then we'll come back in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Shoot, and then why not? You guys haven't done nothing yet.
All right, let's do that. We'll be right back.
I'll be here waiting for you guys.
988 can save a life. If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides connection to free confidential support. There is hope. The Lifeline works. For 24/7 confidential support, just call, text, or chat 988.
We are back.
All right, we are back. Guys, yeah, go ahead. I got a technical issue here. John or Chris, if you could take it away here.
Oh, sure. Yeah, speaking of two guys, we'd like to ask you about Mr. Rodz that we always have fun with our any stories of the Iron Sheik and Andre the Giant.
Well, what do you guys want to know? I know them both. I must have traveled. I don't know how many years with them, and staying in a hotel, and we all over the place. What do you want to know?
We like the Iron Sheik's tweets here every week. He's just funny and any. Well,
the Iron Sheik was he's how do you say somebody that comes from the other side of the land, and he's definitely a different individual. He has a hell of a background in wrestling, and then in pro wrestling, Vince made him a giant in New York because he came to New York, and he that's where he made his name. Until he came to New York, he was still not. He was the Sheik, but then you never heard from him until he came here. Andre the Giant, the same. But how can Andre the Giant miss any territory? Anywhere he went, he was the one and only Andre the Giant. I don't think there's nobody. There's a lot of giant people all over the world, but he was the one and only wonder, the wonder of the world, the giant. Because I know Andre very well. I mean, I really, really was close with him in the sense we travel. I travel him and I alone, and I tell you what, I had not a brand new Cadillac, used Cadillac, but it was, the big Cadillac with the 4 doors, the old type. And we came back all the way from Rhode Island, New York. That's 180 miles, or almost 200 miles. We left the arena, and I brought him back because he went with somebody, but then he came back with me because he was coming down to the hotel in down in the middle of Manhattan. And I tell you what, we started Rhode Island, and Rhode Island is a regular place where they stay open, and the bars will stay open more than 12 o'clock, I guess. And then we had we have a 1.5 box of beer, a whole full bottle of beer, and then another half. By the time we got in the middle of Connecticut, there was no more beer. I'll be driving, and he'd be sitting, being the co-pilot and the bartender. And those days, you get away with it, and drinking in the car is not like the troopers. Once in a while they catch you, but we're in the middle of Connecticut, and he's rattling the bottles. He said, "Shit, boss, we got no more beer." I said, but I said, Andre, you drank it all. Every time I drink one, you drink three. So we wind up, because Andre, and we wind up in like where he says, "We got to get more beer." I said, Andre, we're in the middle of Connecticut. Connecticut, by 12 o'clock at night, it's the rules of the state. That's it. The beer places, the bars, and they close. They close the door, or they don't sell you anything. Right. Oh, come on. Come on, boss. He called me boss. Come on, boss. Pull over. So I pull out one of the X's, and we went down maybe a mile or so. And then there's a big place that is open, and there's about maybe 3 cars or 4, maybe. And it's already 12 o'clock. So we park, we go in there. Of course, Andre walks in there. Everybody's going to look and say, wow. Whether they're wrestling fans or not, they know it's right. Andre the Giant. Absolutely. And then I went in there with him, and he goes over to the bar and say, the guy's behind the bar. He says, "Hey, boss, can I talk to you for a minute?" He goes, "Boss, I'm right. I need some beer." The guy says, "Sir, Andre, with the rules here, the state, da-da-da, Andre. Come, boss, there ain't nobody out there. There's no police out there." He said, "Yes, but they could be devils watching me with binoculars." And so he says, "Hey, boss, please, boss, I'm dry, man. I got to get some beer, boss." But, Andre, with his sweet stuff way of doing it, the guy says, "I tell you what I'm going to do. What do you want?" He says, "I need a whole box of whatever." So he said, we're gonna go through the kitchen in the back. We're gonna open the back door, and the back, where they put all the garbage in the dumpster, and we're gonna put the whole box in there. He paid for it. We went around the block, around the building, and picked it up and put it in the car, and we started back to New York. I never forget that. I never forget that trip with that deal. But then when he got back to New York, I think 58th Street, and I come from the west side and started to go from the west to the east on 58th Street. By the time I got to the building where I'm going to drop him off, somehow they're older. I could tell you, the older car, and then doesn't have to be too old. It's just that he sits on one side and I'm sitting on the other side. I guess with the bing and the bang and the there and there. One of the springs, not the spring broke. The thing that holds the spring snapped.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
When he went to get up and he opened the door and he moved his butt out the door on the front, I heard something go boom. And I said, "What the heck was that?" My car was like a couple of inches that side down. He snapped that thing getting off that car. I never forget that day, because then I had to take it next day to the mechanic, and they had to take that part out and put a new one, put the spring back.
And imagine explaining that. Yeah, I had Andre the Giant.
That's Andre the Giant. And another thing I want to tell you with Andre, I lived in Queens, New York, and this is the first. I was married for a while. I got divorced in 1976. That's why I came home from Jabarup, because that was part of my break up, and I met this young lady. We got married again, and Andrew was hanging around all night with his girlfriend. He went to LaGuardia Airport. His girlfriend went back to Canada, and he says, Johnny, can you pick me up at the airport because we're going to Staten Island to wrestle over here where I live that evening. And so I was in there, so the only person that could pick them up would be me. So he said, can you pick me up in the LaGuardia Hotel, and then we go 3 o'clock, and then we go 6 o'clock to Staten Island. It's only a half an hour drive from here to Brooklyn. So what happened was I picked them up in LaGuardia, and my wife says, well, you guys go over there. We live some basement apartment, my second wife and I. This is the beginning of our life, almost 47 years ago. So he says, pick me up, and then, we go together. So I said, okay. So I picked him up. But in the meantime, my wife says, well, you go over there. I'm going to go to the laundromat where around the corner where we don't have a machine. Then, you put the clothes in there to wash and stuff like that. And she said, when you come back, I'll make some dinner and we eat. And I said, okay. I went and picked him up, and I come back. I had an idea. I said, Andrew, do me a favor. I'm going to stop in front of that store where they got those machines, and she's watching there with the other lady. Just go over there, push the door open, and say to my wife, hey, woman, where's my underwear? and the girls in the place, there was a whole bunch of women said, oh, is that your husband? And she said, no, that's not my husband. That's Andre the Giant, the wrestler.
You're not going to say no to Andre, right?
Because he went on the door, and that guy has to bend their head down on the freaking door. Hey, woman, where's my underwear? Are they ready yet?
Yeah.
And I never forget that. Right? Yeah, it was a lot of fun, And then he went into the place apartment I had, and he was tired, and he must have spent the whole night drinking. And he says, boss, you think maybe I can lay on the couch? He laid on the couch, and sure enough, he threw out some big plop farts.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. I spent quite a while, many nights with Andre the Giant, Arnold Skolin, the Booker, and Tony Altomore, and Lou Albano, and all those guys. We go in some nice place where we could sit all night and drink beer. You cannot drink more beer than Andre. Andre will be 4 o'clock in the morning. Andre used to say to the guy, hey, boy, you think this will keep us over here? And he'll put $500 on the table and say, how long? And you close the door at 4 o'clock and we could stay here. Sure enough, you could do that. And as long as the door is closed, the law says you got to close the door at 4 o'clock. So he makes sure he stay in there. The bartender say, hey, that's a good money enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's we go to the Playboy Club and drink. Andrew is he enjoyed his life because he knew that by the time he was 44, 45, he was going to die because the doctor told him when he was 18 years old.
Oh wow!
I know Andrew. I knew Andrew very well. Matter of fact, I was a jeweler at the time. For many years, I was a jeweler I started when I was 18 years old, and through the years, I worked with jewelry. And I made him, those gold pocket watch. I would put link chains and then make him a watch for the wrist. I made him a ring that I have to use 2 of my fingers together to be able to make the size for his middle finger.
Wow!
We did I traveled quite a while with Andre and worked with him. I think I'm working more with him than anybody around in the sense of going to TV and putting him over and making him look good. And I did all kinds of shit,
Wow, not a bad guy to have in your corner if things go down and you
No, I don't think nobody's gonna play with him in any corner.
No way, man. That's Andre, right?
It is what it is with Andre. God bless him. I hope he's in heaven. He wasn't not a bad guy. He was pretty damn good. I tell you another little joke. Him and I used to go sometime into a pub, up on 47th Street after the shows. And like I said, I started with my wife, with my girlfriend, and we hang out together. And the pinball machine, the little machine, we got the little bowl, and and you hit you pull the thing and the little ball hits and goes into the hole. Well, him and my wife, when she was my girlfriend, they would play that, and she said, "Andrew, can you play with me?" She played with. Instead of pulling the thing so the ball could hit and go in the hole, he would pick the machine up for like that and move it. My wife would take her butt and try to move his butt, and he'd be laughing his ass off because she get pissed. Andre, that's not right. You're cheating. I used to, you know, it's funny. We don't have cell phones in those days. If we have cell phones, you take pictures of that. That'll be a comedy and a half because things that you said you missed that today. Everybody takes pictures of funny things or bad things or whatever the heck it goes on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Speaking of real quick though, getting back to the Iron Sheik and the Ayatollah Blasi.
Well, Blasi was an ace, and you know Blasi was one of the biggest names in LA. You know that, right?
Yes.
In California, Blasi, you know, a lot of the biggest names in wrestling, they're all California had a lot of big names. Forget about it. From what's his name that was playing the gay guy?
Adrian Adonis.
No. We're going back a long time ago in California. He used to throw the bobby pins at the car.
Oh, Gorgeous George.
Thank you, sir. You're very smart. That's what there's nobody better entertainer in the ring as a wrestler and a real McCoy than that guy. He was classic. You can't get better than that. And he played that game. He played that beautiful. They had it packed. People came on Toledo to watch that guy. And Blasi and all those guys are all part of it. Blasi was one hell of a performer in the sense as a heel and all. There's quite a few. It's quite a few. And, you know, you guys remember the tallest brother and Skull Murphy and Brooke Bernard and the Graham brothers. This is the time Antonino Rocca and Miguel Perez. I used to go to the garden and watch them when I was 13, 14 years old with my mother. And I never thought that I'd be a wrestler. I wind up wrestling them in the beginning of my life. I said, they were my heroes. And when I wrestled Miguel Perez, I was better than him. I said, geez, I don't believe that I'm a better worker than this guy. And, you know, that's what life is all about. You know what I mean? You know, it's amazing. It's crazy. So, you know, it is what it is. I don't know. Today, I tried to teach the psychology of the game to these guys in the club, and quite a few. I got quite a few guys that looking good to make it. As a matter of fact, I got quite a few that jumping up to that new company there, the ACW, whatever you call it.
Oh, AEW, yeah, yep.
AEW, yeah. Well, that's gonna hang around for a while. Hopefully. I'm hoping that they make it because they're going fast, but it's too many independent. They're using too many independent characters to get the other characters over. That's okay, but wrestling is stronger than that. Pro wrestling is stronger than that. If you really, I'll tell you what. If you really want to make a name, you got to do what ECW did. Right.
Got to be innovative.
And just to get back to the nitty gritty, what we were talking about before in the beginning, you can't forget ECW. It's just you can't. The guy
one of a kind.
Yeah. He had an idea and he let it happen, and then the big company like Vince McMahon says, I got to bite this guy out because if I don't, he bought him out and he made him a big star. So his way, he keeps him in there. He's making money, and he doesn't have to do nothing. He'll die there. I'm telling you, that's the way it's going to be. That's the way the game is. It's you instead of killing him, then you tell him come and join me. Make him an offer he can refuse. That's all it is.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Rodz, I'd like to ask you a couple other names, of course, that you've people you've been around and watched on TV way back when. Mr. Bob Backlund, one of the great WWE.
Well, Bob Backlund came in when Vince McMahon had problems with Bruno in the sense of the breakup. I would say problem, but business problem in the sense of the breakup. Bruno was there for 10, 11 years. After a while, okay, I'm going to go back with the Chic in California. After a while, no matter how good of a star you are, it's gonna come up to where people are gonna get tired of the same person, no matter how great they are, how famous they are, and the houses are not gonna come up the way you want. And times changes. So Vince had to say, okay, Bruno, they had a good relation, but I need to change, the dinner. So what happened is Pedro Morales became champion. This guy became champion. That guy became champion. But then when they really wanted a baby face and All American, there's nobody better than All American than the looks of Bobby. Now Bobby to me, he's like the puppet that jumps up and down.
Yeah.
And but he was young and the wrestler, and then he shoved it down people's throat, and he made a champion. But he needed a shooter, somebody that could wrestle, somebody that could take care of himself. That you can't have a champion that don't know how to wrestle, just a worker. You got to have a pretty good shooter, somebody that could defend himself in case of problems. Well, right. Bruno was that, and they had plenty of champions, but they kept Bruno. And Pedro Morales was pretty good. I know Pedro Morales because Pedro Morales and I come from where we come from. We used to train together years back in 1960-something when Carl Gotch was here. I was training with Carl Gotch in Brooklyn, with Pedro Morales, Victor Rivera, even not Bob Backlund, even what's his name? Kevin Sullivan was around for a little bit before he went to the South. He's from Boston. So you see, I go back looking at all this in the sense of that's the way it is. They always had to have an all-American style character or somebody that it was like a Bruno imitation Bruno Sammartino. Well, look, Sabisco becomes a challenger with Bruno. There's so many people that they were close, like the Pusky and those guys. They were only one type of Pusky. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And they get over. Every time Pusky was in a main event in the town, we make money. So no matter what character he is, whether he's a dick or not, we make money. You see, this is the way their business is. There's no other. And then that's where the whole idea of the game. You know what I mean?
What
Absolutely.
about, I know, John, you're going to like this one. Another classic character manager, sir, the Grand Wizard of Wrestling. Well,
yeah, all those guys, look, Blassie, the Wizard, Lou Albano, they were the ace of the Vince McMahon's territorial in the sense of managers getting the heels over. And look at Lou Albano, what a maniac he was. Yeah, he got fired 13 times, and 13 times Vince took him back because he was just one character that you cannot. You fire him. You fire him, but next minute, people, even though he's a maniac, he don't follow the rules. People miss him. People start wondering what happened to Lou Albano. Or not only what happened to Lou Albano, other people cannot get the how do you say the heels over because this guy was a man character. You know, he was good at it. And
with the Samoans, the Moondogs.
You know, Freddie Blassie, Pencil Neck Geek. You know, people love that. Hey, you Pencil Neck Geek, and then the Wizard, McMahon. You know who's something, McMahon? I'm gonna tell you something, McMahon. My man is gonna kill your man, McMahon. So he had the Wizard, you know, a little guy, a weasel, you know. So
Ernie
those
Roth.
guys got over like $1 million. See, people hate
Yeah.
them. They come to see them killed, or their boy get killed. This is the way the business needs talent. The business needs something that people hate or love. That's it. That's what the business is about.
Yeah, I wish they would bring back more managers into wrestling like the old days, like the
Well,
Jimmy
that's what I
Hart,
was
the
trying to
Bobby
tell you
Heenan.
before.
We're missing
The
that.
new
Yeah.
company has all these guys jumping around and all this flashing and all these lights, and the guy
Yeah.
has the owner of that thing, the son and the father got billions, and they throwing money out there, but they're not really making a name out of it. They got it, and they got great. Look, I tell you a little secret. That's no secret. Remember the old what's the WCW?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Remember, Turner has something to do with it, right?
Yes.
Not me.
Turner had the TV, and these guys with Turner, and they had a great TV, and they actually rated just as much as Vince did rate.
Yeah.
But what happened is because they're not real promoters, after a while they start doing so much shit and so much everything that they start losing the interest. But
Absolutely.
they made a lot of noise. They made so much noise they became powerful. And then they took the what's his name with the tackle.
Mongo McMichael, are you talking about?
No, the football player.
Yeah, Steve McMichael, right?
No,
No.
Goldberg.
Goldberg. They took Goldberg.
Gotcha.
They
Goldberg.
took
Yeah, yeah.
Goldberg. They took Goldberg, who's not a wrestler lover. He was his fever wasn't that. He was a football player, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
they that guy after they went and trained him, and he didn't take no bump. All he did was tackle, and so they did explosion promotion. When he comes in, you cannot get enough smoke up in the air and lights just to let the people know that here comes the monster. He go in the ring, he tackle everybody. They put him over like a man. He looked like $1 million. So the guy got a hell of a rating with the guy, better than Hogan in there. So, well, you know, everybody's watching it. Everybody, no matter what they do, you know, they put him over like $1 million. And this is how they made the thing. But they lost it because they're not real promoters. The family of the McMahons are the real promoter. The father was an icon. Their son grew up in it. That's what he went to school for.
Yeah.
And then they always, not only they were there once, but he became a worldwide power. He became a Hitler. The father was a gentleman, and he let other promoters live. This guy came in and said, "To hell with everybody. I'm taking out every territory. I'm taking everything." Listen, everybody dies. Hitler died, he could die. You understand? Because after a while, people gonna get tired of somebody being so greedy. It is what it is, and they start to do. They try to beat everybody. After a while, they lose their taste.
Yeah.
And that's actually it not happening, but it is happening. And the wrestling game is never going to die. Somebody's going to come up and invent something just like ECW, and they're always going to have some kind of a game going on that is called pro wrestling. It's been there for 200 years in the sense of the beginning, from the 1800 to now, and it's going to continue on no matter what it is.
Absolutely. Mr. Johnny Rodz, we just want to thank you so much, sir. We thoroughly enjoyed this interview with you, sir. And you know, anytime you want to come back and talk some wrestling, it's not every day we get to speak with a Hall of Famer. So it was great for us, and we thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure, guys. You guys are gentlemen all the way. Anytime, you just give me a holler, and we continue on. Okay.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thankful and respectful to you, sir. Greatly.
All my blessing, guys. Take it easy.
God bless, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Well, gentlemen, I'll tell you what. You know, they don't call them unpredictable for a reason, right? Our show, not what we were structured for today, but you know what? Who gives a shit, man? When we're talking to a guy like Johnny Rodz and some of those amazing stories, man, you just can't. You can't cut him off. There's no way I was going to interrupt him because those stories were just so great. Andre the Giant and the Sheik and Freddie Blassie. My goodness.
I mean,
Great
and
stuff.
we can go on, right, guys? I mean, just the questions of like, yeah, what how was Andre the Giant? How was the Iron Sheik? I mean, there's so many more we can do, but I'm glad he's willing to come back.
Absolutely. And guys, I mean, I know we kind of broke format this week, but
Yeah.
we'll save the clips for our next show.
Yep.
We'll feature Mr. Johnny Rodz in those clips for next week.
Definitely.
The only Chic tweet I wanted to throw up, John, if you have it available, if you don't worry
Yeah, I
about
do.
it, was the one about the Macho Man. It was the Macho Man's 70th birthday, and you know, it would have been his 70th birthday, and the Sheik just threw him out a shout out on Twitter there. Happy birthday to my brother Macho Man. Say hi to Nikolai. Of course, Nikolai Volkov no longer with us as well. I love you forever, and you know, we echo that as well. Happy birthday to Savage and the lovely Miss Elizabeth, who are no longer with us. So I just wanted to make sure we got that tweet up because it was the Macho Man's the legendary Macho Man Randy Savage's birthday. So, but gentlemen, thanks again for an awesome show. We'll throw up a quick public announcement here, John, and then we'll wrap up. Or
sure, yeah. Real quick, today we are going to talk about the YWCA. The YWCA is in every county in the United States, in every province and their counties in Canada. This is the place you go if you've ever been hurt. You know, you were raped, you were sexually abused as a child, you've had the domestic violence, that type of stuff, and you're out there and you need help. That's our local number, 716-433-6714. That's us here in Western New York in our area. But you have one there too, wherever you are. So if you're in the middle of a terrible situation where you're being domestically abused, those types of things. I know they're hard to talk about, but that's where you go. The YWCA, they're there to help you. They have counselors standing by to talk to you anytime. They have advocates that will do anything you need. You need to go to the hospital, you need to go to court. They're with you. So please remember, find your YWCA and they will help you.
Awesome.
Yes,
Great
indeed.
stuff, John. Thank you so much for that. And gentlemen, again, thank you for another great show. You know, any feedback from any listeners, any watchers, you know, we always welcome that as well. And thank you so much for checking it out. And again, thank you to the Hall of Famer, Mr. Johnny Rodz, for joining us on the Falls Count Anywhere podcast. Everybody have a great weekend, gentlemen. Have a great weekend, guys.
Yep, and stay warm.
Stay
Yep,
warm.
take care.
Yeah, they've got that shit snow coming here, so get the shovel ready and stay warm, guys. Absolutely.
Yep.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.